Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another, or shall I say, first analysis for Ethereum. I think it's a great time to start talking about altcoins, as Bitcoin has now more or less reached our minimum target zone. If you haven't watched my previous Bitcoin video, please make sure to go watch that. We have been calling every general move with great precision. Also, just very quickly, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really does help me pump out more of these videos. I truly, sincerely appreciate everyone's support. And also, if you're interested in the Discord membership, where I offer more in-depth analysis and my personal train of thought on the markets, please don't hesitate to reach out with any of the links in the description below. We also offer a Patreon if you are interested in seeing more video updates twice a week. So getting right into the analysis for Ethereum, we are still possibly within a larger corrective structure for a wave 4. This is really the only way I can see it, and the corrective pattern is going to be observed as a possible larger triangle, more specifically a very rare barrier triangle, which creates a equilibrium zone between the BD waves, and this BD trend line is now going to be the major resistance, which is going to be the major breakout confirmation if this wave 4 is going to be considered complete. Now, we're going to be talking about how this wave is going to be completing, but let's talk about this barrier triangle first, because there's only two ways I can really approach how this whole range is being created. But the first major evidence that we can get out of this range is that we have been creating higher lows for a very long time, ever since 2022, and that is a sign of bullishness. That's not a sign of bearishness until we actually break low and create some lower lows. And with sustained lower lows, then we know for a fact that the trend has changed. But for the time being, for a few years, I think that this is now starting to build up what could be a violent breakout to the upside. That's going to be bringing us up into the upper 4,000 or 4-digit levels rather, and possibly into the 5-digit levels around $10,000. So how is this triangle being built, and why is this the highest probability? Again, I kind of created a note here saying that both the triangle and the series of 1-2 ideas don't have the best look in terms of a subjective approach, but objectively, we can say that it is bullish because we are seeing a lot of higher lows being created, like I said. But how is this triangle being created? So let's talk about it. First of all, into this first subwave A, we had a very clear 3-wave structure. I don't think that this is a 5-wave structure. It just looks very clear on a zoomed out perspective as a 3-wave structure. And again, within a triangle, you can have one complex WXY or a double zigzag. And remember, this whole triangle is comprised, or any triangle is comprised of simple zigzags, where one wave can be comprised of a WXY. And in this case, the B wave is going to be our complex complex WXY, which is a possible ABC going into the first wave W. And then we have another ABC or WXY going into wave X. And then finally, an ABC, depending on where you're seeing the termination point, as the final wave Y going into that B wave. And that gave us the first signal that this was moving either correctively or as a series of 1-2s at that current time. But after we got another 3-wave pullback as an ABC, very clear ABC structure. This was impulsive right here for our final C wave, but it wasn't as impulsive over here. So that gave us a very clear distribution zone that gave us that ABC structure as a 3-wave move. And this bounce off of here gave us that wave A, and then a B, and then a C once again for that D wave. And as we got rejected here, we were expecting that rejection as well because of our Bitcoin analysis, and that is what we're getting now. And all together, this is also creating a zigzag structure. So what that means is everything is working correctively while also creating higher lows. So that is objectively bullish. And that's why we have to view this whole structure as either a very bullish structure of a series of 1-2s, which we'll go over in just a second, but we don't want to be too ambitious because a series of 1-2s is extremely bullish, and that should lead us into possibly even $20,000 per Ethereum. And I don't want to be too ambitious because I am expecting a final 5th wave to conclude the entire bull market for Bitcoin, and I don't think we'll be reaching those heights just yet. But with that being said, I still do think that we are going to be seeing, around a 200 to 300% level range for this last leg. And I do think that we are eventually going to break this BD trend line just like we did for XRP. Ethereum is kind of functioning kind of on a minuscule scale in terms of the function of how this triangle is working out when compared to XRP. XRP was working in a larger contracting triangle, but here it is a very rare barrier triangle, and I am going to accept this as the possible main primary scenario going forward. forward, just due to the fact that we have a series of higher lows being created and everything is constructed more so as corrective structures instead of what could be the more bullish structure. And as I'm saying, this is the more bullish structure, and I don't think that this is the case. I just don't see market sustaining itself enough as we reach these levels over here. Who knows? Things can change, but for now, the higher probability goes to the triangle breakout, and at least we know how to measure the post-triangle measurement using the post-triangle thrust measurement rather to see how far the wave 5 is going to go at a very general perspective. So with that being said, this 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, as you can see, it's too many 1 2s for my liking, that is, but it was working for Bitcoin. It was the more reliable case for Bitcoin, but the follow-up, we're already seeing some weakness within Bitcoin for the 3 4 5s, and it's been showing that it's kind of a signal right now that we are now finally working in the final fifth wave. So this might be the final fifth wave of altcoins as well. And as we know, altcoins usually run the strongest after a fourth wave completes on Bitcoin, and as the fifth wave builds up and the expansion phase comes into play, that usually means the altcoins will run usually harder, arguably, than Bitcoin, and that is why we can also say that a 200 to a 300% run is absolutely possible for this fifth wave as well. So really risk on, risk off in terms of how Bitcoin and altcoins are functioning. But the first level of information that's going to be given to us in terms of how mid caps and low caps are going to be functioning, I think that Ethereum is the first coin that we have to be observing the most because it is doing the largest accumulation right now. So that with that being said, I think that this last leg here is going to be the most important thing. So if we zoom in and talk about how that is being played out, as you can see, we are going to be zooming it into the 15-minute time frame. I do think that there is a possible ABC correction that is now being complete very, very soon. And this bounce off of the lows here gives us a very strong signal that we may be either working for the move up to the upside right now, or we are still looking for one more leg to the downside, which is absolutely fine, because if we go back to the triangle idea, the beauty of the triangle, ladies and gentlemen, is that for those that are new to the Elliott Wave Theory, when you're working in the final subwave E of any triangle, it can truncate. And a truncation means it could fail. And if it's going to be failed, that could translate into that this E wave does not have to hit that trend line whatsoever, and it can end anywhere in this rectangle box basically. And right now we have met that minimum expectation that this ABC has completed. So what does this mean? It means that we should be looking for longs cautiously, but it also means that we shouldn't be looking for shorts and maximizing our shorts. What that means is we should be looking for signals on how this is going to be transitioning, more specifically be creating some kind of motive wave or a 5-wave impulse to the upside for the first wave A, or first wave 1 rather, a pullback for wave 2, confirm that the wave 2 is in, and then a breakout for that wave 3. That is going to be the major confirmation, not only from this BD trend line, but from also this 1-2 being in, and also having this wave 3 coming into play. So if we go back to the shorter time frame, how is that ABC being played out right now? I think that there's a very good chance, even though that this last leg here, we do have to make a sacrifice here, ladies and gentlemen, that this does look like a 3-way move as a possible WXY, where this is now going to be fitted as an ABC. But since we've already exhausted it, if you remember, I said that you can't have two WXY patterns within a triangle. So that means us that we have to force it. So are you going to sacrifice the overall larger macro structure for this one last leg? I don't think so. I think what we can do is we can just at times force ourselves to say that this is going to be the case, that this is going to have to be played out as a 5-wave impulse, which is fine. So what that means is we have this first leg as an actionary wave as a 5-wave impulse into a wave A. This was most definitely as an ABC. We had this B wave as a triangle. We were seeing, or a lot of people on social media were talking about how this was the beginning of the move to the upside, but I was very cautious and I was making sure that we were working in a corrective structure because of this triangle here. And I was very confident that we were going to see that this was a B wave as a triangle, very, very, very clean C wave as a 5-wave impulse, and we got rejected. What do you see? The 61.8% level, which is a very common target for not only a B wave but a wave 2. And then we got a major rejection, and then we did some kind of distribution here. We were originally anticipating this to be a WXY, and I don't want to break the rules in terms of having two complex structures within a triangle, but for now we are going to fit this as a possible impulse that's being accepted, because if we zoom out, like I said, on the triangle, it just fits much better as a larger ABC or 3-wave structure as a zigzag family that is ready to look like it's going going to be breaking out of this region very soon. So we have two kind of routes. Either the correction is going to be truncated, and if not, that's absolutely fine. We can still have that small leeway of room and margin of error that it can come down to this trend line and still bounce off of that level here and still work for that fifth wave. So we'll get two updates made possibly within the next few weeks. If it breaks out of here earlier, we'll get an update real quick. And then if we go down into this trend line here, I'll be making sure to update that as well. But again, I don't want to be breaking this trend line. I think we want to be making sure we pertain to the good luck. Usually triangles will break their trend line, either the BD trend line or the ACE trend line. Usually you'll see it kind of either overshoot or undershoot it sometimes. But in this case, for the E wave on this barrier triangle, we want to be making sure that it retains the best look of higher lows being created as best as we can. And that'll give us that final conclusion of that fifth wave to the upside. So that's how I'm currently seeing the overall structure, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that was helpful. We're going to have far more altcoin updates coming into this next week. So please make sure, remember one more time, subscribe to the channel, like the video, thumbs up, everything, man. Everything that it does, you guys do, I take very, very deeply within the heart. And I also make sure to take everyone's support by heart as well. Every comment really matters to me. I look into everyone's support, what they want in a video. So comment down below, like what kind of altcoins you guys are looking at. Are you in Ethereum? Are you more conservative? Whatever it is, let me know. And then that way I can kind of figure out what I can be creating as a content creator. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye-bye.